Hello, everyone, and welcome back to RJL6's Invite. My name's Tisamano. I am joined by M17. We got Dolphin on production, and tonight we've got an amazing match ahead of us. It is going to be GlobalClan Xiao versus Fjord Gaming over on Metalworks. This is the first time we've seen GlobalClan Xiao on the cast, but they've already had a pretty exciting season with an upset win over Anglerfish. They have kind of rebranded. I think they were Anglerfish Holdings. They've rebranded to Guangdong Anglerfish. I don't know if that means something. Maybe it does, but someone here to help break it all down. M1, how you doing tonight, and what do you think about this matchup?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I think this is going to be a pretty solid matchup. Both these teams right now are 1-2, and it's a relatively small season. But these matches, especially against teams that like that are maybe borderline playoff or like could make playoffs, they're very important, especially early in the season, just to making sure you have a bit of a buffer in case something happens, or also just, getting you closer to making sure your team is in playoffs is really useful.
Yep, I definitely agree with the smaller invite division. All of these matches mean so much more, and we can go down over the rosters because, like we said earlier, this is the first time that you have been seeing GlobalClan Xiao on the cast, so good thing to run down who they are, as it might be some unfamiliar faces if you only exclusively watch invite, but some of them should be recognizable. So the roster for GlobalClan Xiao is going to be Minaj on Flank Scout, Moose on Pocket Scout, Robotnik on Roaming Soldier, Sin is going to be subbing in for Fancy Sun, we believe, on Pocket. You're going to have Tiny on Demo and Dinky on Medic. And I don't know about you, M1, but I've played against a fair few of these people in Pugs before, so I know they're all really, really good. Moose is someone who's been kind of climbing up through the the RGL ranks into invite, and I'm very excited to see how they're going to be able to do. They're a very talented scout, and so I think they're going to be able to adapt. And then you look at the roster, a lot of kind of maybe lower invite, maybe advanced players who've been around for a while. People like Robotnik, you might know them as Aimer, but they're going as Robotnik now. Sin was on Fryotech as well, very talented player. So that's kind of some lower invite experience that maybe help lead this team.
Yeah, Tiny Moose, Minaj are all relatively new, especially compared to the rest of the players. But Sin and Robotnik and Dinko all have a bit more experience. But then on the other side, on the Fjord Gaming side, which we'll talk about in a second, they have a lot more experience. Speaking of the Fjord Gaming roster, it is Yosh on Flank Scout, Exile on Combo Scout, Grape Juice on Roamer, Alexandros on Pocket, Jarrett on Demo, and Crunchington Magoo, you may know them as Bear, on Medic. And definitely a few players, especially like, for example, Crunchington Magoo, Jarrett, and Exile and Yosh definitely have a lot of invite experience. So this is more like a old versus new kind of thing.
It is definitely an old versus new. Obviously, Jarrett, friend of the cast, he's casted so many seasons. And if you're only now wondering, realizing that, wait, Jarrett's an invite demo man. Yes, he's been an invite for quite a while. I first remember him on Velocity back in the ECA days, but I'm sure he's had plenty of invite rosters even before that. But yeah, very, very good demo man. Very exciting to see him back on the field. But like you said, a lot of these F150 people have been in kind of somewhat similar rosters over the seasons. I mean, Fjord Gaming, they weren't in invite for a while. They were kind of playing in advanced, and I think they were kind of off-classing a little bit. Yosh was maybe on demo, or maybe that was Yum Yum on demo. They've been kind of swapping it around back and forth. But they're going to be coming in tonight with their kind of invite classes, what you'd expect to see them on, as it should. I think it's going to be a very exciting game. I guess we can get into the predictions, but I mean, GCX, GlobalClan Xiao, have already kind of come out the gate with that upset win over Anglerfish. Now, just because you get one upset win doesn't mean you're guaranteed to stay there, and I think they're going to have a very difficult, very doable, but difficult season ahead of them if they do want to make it into playoffs. But kind of like you said earlier, M1, getting a win tonight is going to make that dream so much more realistic.
Yeah, it definitely will. In terms of me for predictions tonight, I'm honestly unsure as to, like, I've seen just that experience from the Fjord Gaming side versus I've definitely seen a lot of strong players, and I expect we'll be seeing some Minaj Sniper tonight. But I'm really torn. It is metalwork, so maybe there will be a little bit of stalemating, but I kind of want to. I kind of want to say 3-2 in favor of GlobalClan Xiao tonight, but I'm really unsure. This could go either way, I think.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. There's maybe a little bit of uncertainty. They've only played Moneyballs and Froyutech, both of them, like as a together to be able to compare off of. And it's kind of hard to compare because both of those teams you're kind of looking at are kind of expected to be the grand finalists. So it's kind of hard to glean a lot from them. They really haven't either played the other Global Clan team, which would be maybe a good marker because that's kind of what you're looking at, maybe the bottom three teams in Invite at the moment. But with that being said, I am going to go with GlobalClan Xiao. You know, I've played with a lot of these people before, and I think they have what it takes to be able to get a few upset wins. They've already got one, and I think they have the ability to be able to get another. They've got a lot of talented people on that team, but it's going to take more than talent. It's going to take a lot of skill and just a lot of team coordination across the board, because you look at F150, they've also got a lot of talent. So I'm going to go maybe a little bit more in favor of GlobalClan Xiao. I'm gonna say a 4-2, whereas yours was what, a 3-1 or a little bit lower?
I said 3-2. Yeah, I'm
3-2.
really unsure though, to be honest. GlobalClan Xiao did play an earlier match against Freyo. They did lose it 0-4 earlier in the week, or early in the season, excuse me, on Metalworks. Whereas two of F150's matches, both of their Freyo and Moneyballs match, were both on Gully Wash. So I'd say, maybe we've seen a little bit more from the side of GlobalClan Xiao, but I mean, it's not like, Fjord has never played Metalworks. These are invite teams. They've definitely played Metalworks hundreds of times at least. So, I'm curious to see if we see anything crazy tonight or if it's just going to be pretty standard.
Yeah, it might be a little bit standard. I do know, at least on GlobalClan, Xiao, Moose, and Minaj, both very capable at off-classing if they need to do so. And what we're not going to have to worry too much longer, as we are going to be going live, obviously, on the other side of things. Yosh and Exile, also very capable off-classers in their own right. But it is going to be live Fjord Gaming versus GlobalClan Xiao. And as we always do on these mid-fights, all eyes on the Demomen as they roll out Jarrett. Going to be going to get that pack. Seems like they're both going to be coming out through Lunchbox. Actually, no, Jarrett going to be coming out through lower, and Grape Juice immediately taking a lot of damage. Sin, very aggressive on the enemy team's Lunchbox, is going to be able to stay alive and surf back for health. Catches an arrow, and no one has committed too far forward. Sin once again going and making a lot of space for her team, and is going to be able to stay alive. No one committing, no one dying. I say that Minaj is going to be the first casualty, as that is going to be the call for GlobalClan Xiao to back up, and Grape Juice, nice collapse onto Tiny. Might be able to escape through Valley. No, Moose is going to be able to chase that down as Robotnik does come in. Is going to try and go for the bomb. Nice surf to be able to stay alive from Bear, and that is going to be the mid one for Fjord Gaming.
Yeah, now with GlobalClan Xiao down 3, they're going to have to respect this. Although, as I say, the Alemander's a little low, but he's going to get bowed up, so he's going to be safe. They're going to slowly take the second pretty quickly. Actually, GlobalClan Xiao comes for an aggressive Uber exchange. The Uber comes out a little bit later from the side of Fjord, but it's not a huge amount later. But I think GlobalClan Xiao is okay with just leaving. Tiny's doing a little bit of spamming, but it looks like, they're just going to back their way up to last. And it's going to be a good old gotta break last. But both teams should be building Uber first. And, well, maybe not. Maybe we'll see some, a little bit of aggression, maybe some sort of sack before the Ubers come out. We'll see.
Now we will see, as Grape Juice is going to be getting in through Toxic, and now going to be trying to jump around, get some good damage off onto the demo, but not able to make it, as Bear is actually going to go down. Robotnik with the flank has opened it up massively for his team, and Sin is in the back lines. She is being able to stay alive and just play her life and just be a little bit more of a nuisance. Actually catches out. Alexandros is going to be traded out, but that is already done so much benefit for GlobalClan Xiao. They're going to be able to get off of last onto second, and they are going to have a pretty sizable Uber advantage to boot.
Yeah, huge flank shove there from the soldiers, and Fjord were just completely not expecting it. Moose already peeking his way in through the underpass area, taking a bit of space for his team, as the rest of his team, here comes the rest of his combo, Tiny and, Dinko are walking in now, and Fjord is looking for maybe a little bit of a house shove here, but Yosh goes down actually. Exile does get a trade kill onto Robotnik, but besides that, they're still down Uber at. Although, as I say that, it's only 20 Uber disad. Grape Juice going behind into the valley as this time, excuse me, GlobalClan Xiao already walked into mid and used their small Uber ad remaining to take mid, but here comes Fjord with an aggressive Uber in, trying to take an Uber exchange with the Grip Juice behind it. Dinko drops!
Oh, that is so unfortunate. Dinko dropping on the point, and even worse, it's going to be Grape Juice getting the back half. It's going to be joined with Alexandros. It's a 2v1 for Robotnik that he has to try and deal with. Just going to be jumping around, trying to delay and buy time. Is going to trade out, but unfortunately for him, there was one more soldier back there, and that is going to be the first round for Fjord Gaming off of a very incredible, very heads-up back cap from Grape Juice and an unfortunate drop from Dinko.
Yeah, but it's awesome to see all this crazy aggressive soldiers shoves. My goodness, that's a tongue twister. But just keeping your soldiers active and making sure they're not, getting stuck in tiny doorways and eating the same damage as your team is really important. And both teams are honestly making really good use of their soldiers so far. As we're already getting to the second mid, nobody's getting too aggressive this time, although Grape Juice is going to back up first and get the pack. But besides that, nobody's too aggressive. Here comes an early bomb from the soldier. Sin does fade away. Robotnik does take a lot of damage and he's also going to try to fade away into house. He's going to get out with the pack, but there's a lot of low players on Fjord too, so it looks like it's just stalemating out for now.
Yeah, Grape Juice going in for a high bomb is going to commit onto Tiny. Does a lot of damage to Tiny, managing to stay alive, and they are going to find two. Here comes the bomb from Alexandros, is going to jump away, takes a lot of damage, but at the end of it all, both medics going to be able to stay alive. Fjord Gaming, however, at the worst end of it, they're going to have to back up onto their second. You can already see Robotnik going in, making some space. Sin jumping in from lower. It does so much damage onto Crongington. Is going to be able to get the force. Really great heads-up play again from the soldiers, just being so aggressive, and they're going to be able to give their team an uber advantage, but they do have to try and hold on to mid, which they haven't capped yet.
Yeah, Alexander's already looking for some sort of sack, but now that there are two scouts here, he is just going to think better of it. He's just doing a bit of spamming with Grape Juice, and he's just going to back off. But yeah, huge heads-up play there from Sin, because Fjord had no soldiers left alive, so that just means there's usually there's nobody to deny you with crazy bombs, so soldiers can just go very aggressive, and that's exactly what they did. Good coordination there. They're already bringing their combo into the alley area. They have a 30% Uber out. Exile is building the Uber, but Fjord is very aware that GlobalClan Xiao is in alley. They have a lot of sticks to clear through. Grape Juice does go for a bomb, gets a lot of damage on the moves, but safely backs up, and that actually gives enough time for Fjord to get Uber, which means GlobalClan Xiao now have to break through, just do a normal sack, you would assume.
Yep, they're just going to have to try and go for a sack. Like you said, you got Minaj over and lower. Everyone else on GlobalClan Xiao very deep in alley. Just trying to see if there's maybe some type of opening as Robotnik is going to go in, make some space, manages to get into house and stays alive. So now they can maybe try and go for something. Unfortunately, Sin is going to be actually to trade out with Grape Juice, so that's not going to be too bad, but they lose their other soldier. So with that, they are just going to have to back up and retreat onto middle to make sure that they don't allow Fjord an opening in with Alexandros.
Yeah, there's a lot of traps coming in from Tiny on that main doorway just to make sure that Fjord can't really do anything, but I don't really think they feel comfortable about doing anything. Two scouts is still very difficult to deal with. Scouts at the invite level are going to do a lot of damage to soldiers when they're bombing, so you got to be very careful. And so Fjord is just okay with just backing up. They have, GlobalClan Xiao has the midpoint, so it's kind of on them to do something, or else we'll get the round reset.
Yep, and fortunately for GlobalClan Xiao, they've still got a bit of time to play with, over 2 minutes on the round timer before we would head to a potential round reset. So they're going to be setting up in Valley once again. All eyes on the soldier, Sin or Robotnik, to try and go for something. Grape Juice kind of fakes a bomb, but Alexandros again is going to fake an aggressive bomb into Valley. We've seen that, and not in this match, but just in matches previously, catch out the attacking team so many times. But Robotnik is going to go in, actually does a lot of damage on the Bear, and Sin with the follow-up is going to be able to get the force. Bear was just launched sky high, and even if the rockets didn't connect, the the fall damage might have cratered them anyway. So very important use there from Bear, and once again the soldiers on GCX setting up their team perfectly. But here comes the fade bomb from Grape Juice, trying to make some space. Alexandros fade bombing in there, slowly getting ground, but Dinko holding on to this Uber is going to eventually have to use.
Yeah, Yo should go down as well, so that's 2 down for the side of Fjord, which means GlobalClan Xiao want to push this, even though they only have Sin here, because, oh, actually, excuse me, Robotnik is here, so they have that 2-player out there already walking into second, and Jarrett might be caught here in the shutter, very low. I think he's going to get out safely. The Scout trying to chase Alexandros. Alexandros is caught, and that's going to be 1 down now for Fjord, trying to hold their own last. They do have a big Uber ad, but that 1-player ad is going to be enough for GlobalClan Xiao to go very aggressive. They get Robotnik in through the other side, and Sin gets a kill onto Jarrett. A bunch of trade kills happening here, and it's just going to go in the favor of GlobalClan Xiao. 1-1 now. Just an aggressive push for them with that extra player ad, and it worked out.
Yeah, really great aggression from GCX, and very unfortunate for Fjord Gaming because Bear was only a few percentages away from having Uber, and they wouldn't have been able to kill everyone there, but they might have been able to hold on long enough to get their respawners. So tie game, and it is afoot as we're going on to another mid. Jarrett going to be going in through lower. Tiny taking the high ground on through Lunchbox, and the mid's kind of been going back and forth. The soldier's been so aggressive, as we can see Sin and Robotnik going in super deep. They want to try and get on the Bear. Bear nice surf to stay alive. Oh, but the long-range rocket from Sin, and you can see everyone on GCX is in so deep, and they managed to wipe Fjord Gaming without losing anyone. A very insane aggression coming out from the squad there.
Yeah, and even Grape Juice was trying to get that salvage onto the medic, but Dinko with some nice dodging is able to keep himself alive, and GCX is already in last. They haven't even kept second yet, and they're already getting some pressure up, trying to not let any sentries go up. They actually kill Yosh early, huge kill there from Robotnik, and that's going to make things really difficult. Minaj is still capping on the backside, so GCX can't get anything done yet, but they're more than willing to just stay here with their nice big Uber, eventually get a couple of player kills. They do use in already, but they now have second, so they're able to just get a ton of cap time. Dinko with a nice reflash, and just multiple kills going the way of GCX, and it is going to be a second round in favor of GCX. Very fast second round there.
Yeah, very quick second round. It's a as mid to last as you can possibly get, because you know they didn't lose anyone and they were just immediately in on last. Like you said before, everyone on Fjord Gaming had an opportunity to try and get some defenses going. So we're going to be going in onto the 4th mid. GCX in the lead for the first time here. Are they going to be able to keep hold of it, or are Fjord Gaming going to be able to respond on this next mid? Grape Juice trying to get some early damage on through Lunchbox, does some, and once again Robotnik actually going to be going for the Fade Bomb, not committing. Sin the same thing as well, both of them not committing. Lands on Batman. Grape Juice mirroring, and is going to go for the committal bomb onto Dinko. A lot of damage, and Dinko is going to fall. Grape Juice with great rockets onto 2 players, and that might be enough to give Fjord Gaming the round, as long as they can deal with these pesky scouts who are still here. Minaj and Moose, they have a little bit of health to play with, but they've got a demo. They've got Exile to help protect their medic, and I think both of them realize that they're going to have to back up, maybe be a little bit more sneakier if they want an opportunity to get onto Bear, but no, they're just going to back up onto second. So that is going to be the mid 1 for Fjord Gaming.
Yeah, really well done there, and good dodges by Crunch and Magoo, aka Bear. Yeah, when those 2 scouts on GCX were didn't have a medic anymore, you kind of do have to give that up, because you can just take that long-term fight when you have that medic, and the heals will win out. Big high ground from Sin, trying to do some delaying, and Robotnik actually ends up going very aggressive and drops Crunches into Magoo. Very huge kill there. Alexandros did get the trade, but that's not going to help that much. Grape Juice does get a kill. Actually, Yosh gets a kill onto Sin. That's now 4 versus 3 in favor of, Fjord. And Tiny's going to get caught in here too, but GlobalClan Xiao more than willing to just back up Moose and Dinko onto their own last. But they have a nice big Uber advantage, and once their spawners get here, they'll be pushing out.
Yep, they will be pushing out. They do have to make sure, though, that they don't let anyone on Fjord Gaming go for the backup, because that's the danger when you have your second point cap. Even if you do have that massive Uber advantage, there could be always someone lurking, as Jarrett is over on the low ground, and no one really on Fjord Gaming in a good position to go for a backup, so I think they've stuffed that. But Jarrett actually gets a nice pick onto Minaj, and as I say that, Grape Juice is up on Spy. He's not going to be able to get the back cap, as they've already captured up second, but they might not be aware that there is a sneaky Frenchman on the field.
He's already decloaking. He decloaks really early. I wonder if they're going to see. Are they going to turn around?
Oh, he gets it!
The backstab onto Dinko. Oh my goodness! But 2 go down on the side of Fjord. So this is going to have to be. This is going to be a little precarious for them, because they only have 3 classes that aren't their medic. But they'll take their time, slowly clear things out, maybe wait for their spawners, and they're gonna have a nice big Uber out to work off of. Huge play there. There's actually a bit of Yosh just clearing out these houses, maybe trying to look for anybody too aggressive, but nobody's doing anything on the side of GCX. They're all just waiting to get healthy, trying to set up for this hold here on second.
Yeah, and speaking of off classes, we have got Minaj up on Sniper over in map room, just trying to see if he can catch an angle all the way through lower. He can catch the peak, but it seems like that's not where Fjord are going. They're instead going to go through house, and it's going to be a demo bomb. Jarrett getting stuffed just a little bit, is going to be able to get in. I don't think they're going to catch anyone. So they've used Uber, they've gotten the point, and they're not going to get anyone else, but it does put GCX in the very tricky position of, all right, we have Uber advantage. Do we push out? And unlike last time, Fjord Gaming do have enough opportunity. They have time to try and set themselves up to get someone in position to try and go for a back cap or try and shove a flank or something like that. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult for GCX, and you can see they're not going to risk it. They're going to have Moose up on Engineer, and we are going to be headed towards a last stalemate.
Yeah, we already had Yosh and Grape Juice on this right side with Jarrett having traps on the up top side, although Grape Juice does go for a little bit of a peek and then just gets absolutely headshot by Minaj. Minaj is going to keep taking this peek through the shutter, kind of working here by himself, but he's looking for something. Alexandros is, of course, using that glass window, which you cannot shoot through, which allows you to spot and get really good info on that sniper, but looks like GCX didn't, even with that one kill, they didn't really want to do anything, so it's just going to back up into last. We do have Minaj, I believe that's Minaj in spawn off-class checking. Yeah, just off-class checking for now. Checking for that spy sniper. There is none, and Minaj is going to go right back onto sniper. So nothing to see there, and we'll see how Fjord tries to get some sort of sack, and they're definitely talking about it now. But
well,
here it comes.
I can tell you that it's going to be Grape Juice on Man Shreds. He spawned onto it, so he's not going to take any knockback, or he's going to take reduced knockback, sorry, from the sentry gun. So, I mean, with that being said, the sentry gun isn't in a great position to deny soldiers. It's under the bridge, so I don't know how much effect that's going to have in the first place, but still, it's nice to have, as Grape Juice is going to bomb in, and he's going to try and go. He gets a great rocket, actually. Oh, the follow-up from Alexandros. They're going to be able to collapse onto Dinko, and that's going to be a second drop for GCX.
Yeah, huge play there, and it looks like GlobalClan Xiao is just very content. They do not feel comfortable pushing into this combo on second. They don't think they can get anything, so they're just going to try to set up a really strong hold, and that's going to allow both Alexandros and Grape Juice to come back up on the normal gunboats, and they're going to prepare for this push. As we do see the sentry gun has been moved to a little bit of a sneaky spot under the ramp. This is somewhat common on this ebb if you have time, but you know, it is something you always have to be careful for because that can actually shoot some of the point. It can be a little bit tricky to deal with. Here comes the aggressive Uber on the right side from the side of Fjord, but Yosh dies early. Sin does get killed as well. Crunch Team following Exile into spawn. Oh my goodness. Huge bombs going on. Jarrett is fighting Minaj. Grape Juice does a bomb onto point, and it's now still 2 versus 2. Now it's just Moose versus Jarrett. Jarrett on the melee cannot win the fight.
That was insane for Moose. Huge clutch up. I also have to say a Robotnik aimer with a very funny exchange with Alexandros up into the sky. And Robotnik was hiding up on that super high ledge right above the point and got some free shots off onto Alexandros. Alexandros bombs away, and Robotnik air shots him out of the sky, and they both cratered to their death. So nice little air shot coming out there, but it's going to be GCX holding on to last. They are going to have 50% Uber advantage, so they can try and take this in onto mid. Question is, where do they try and go for? Seems like it's going to be through Lunchbox.
Ooh, Jarrett with an early trap kill. Moose does check, and Grape Juice is on that on the rafters above, which is a very common spot. And Grape Juice is taking a lot of damage, but they do end up just deciding to use through. Grape Juice might still be able to get out here. Maybe Yosh gets a kill on Robotnik behind. That's going to be huge. If Yosh is still behind here, he might be able to cause some real chaos. He does get back with his team, but that's 2 players dead for the side of GCX, and Fjord with that 80% Uber and the 2 players. It is going to be 1 player when Minaj gets back here, but that's still going to be enough for them to be pushing.
Yep, it is the player ad and the Uber advantage. We are going to have Sin go for a fade bomb as everyone else from Fjord Gaming gets in through Valley. And that might be Moose caught out just a little bit, is going to go down. Minaj is also some no scouts available for GCX, and they weren't able to force out the Uber, so it's going to put a lot more importance on these soldiers to maybe try and stuff the doorways. And there's not going to be any off classes either, so there's no going to be no sentry gun, no heavy weapons guy when this Uber comes in.
Yeah, and they already use into that right side. They don't get any kills for now, but they get a ton of time until the point. And Exile actually just capped the point because all of GlobalClan Xiao was in spawn. Very well played there, and that's 2-2. Very even game. And I think the mids have been pretty even too, so I'm curious. Yeah, the mids have both been won. Both teams have won 2 mids each, so I'm curious to see who wins this 5th mid.
Yeah, the mids have been even though we've had some long rounds, I think whoever has won the mid has ended up winning the round. It's just happened in that way, even if it hasn't been a mid to last outside of that one that GCX did. But we're going in onto the 5th one, demonstrating great damage. Tiny actually being taken down fairly low due to Jarrett Stickies as Grape Juice makes his way in behind. Might be able to recommit as they're having... Oh yeah, and Grape Juice comes in, is going to be able to take down Tiny with the help of Moose. Jarrett with a bottle kill onto Robotnik, and now he's Grape Juice. Might try and go for something. No, is just going to bomb away as the remainder of GCX is going to try and escape. Sin shouldn't be caught. Yeah, she's going to be able to get out with the rest of the team, but not a great mid for GCX, and Fjord Gaming in a good position to try and convert another round.
Yeah, it looks like GCX just accidentally clumped up there on that left side at the bottom of the stairs when Grape Juice was still there. Here comes an aggressive bomb from Grape Juice trying to get in early before the gun is level 2. He does get the gun, and Exile also goes down, but he somehow lives after bombing in. That was honestly insane, but he's just going to wait for this pack, and it's going to be a sec, and maybe that was just an intended switch because Exile's going to go sniper. Oh no, Exile's going to hold the door open for Yosh, who is going back to spawn, and Yosh is going to be sniping. Yes, that is exactly what's happening. And Minaj, though, I believe is aware of this. Minaj was off fast checking.
Yep, Yosh, very, very good sniper, invite tested on, I think, the original Fjord Gaming roster, and his sniper prowess was well utilized even back then, and I'm sure time has not dulled his abilities whatsoever, so he's going to be a threat for G6 to try and deal with. Like you said, they do know, so that element of surprise might not be on their side, but it doesn't matter. It still gets a headshot. Both demos actually be taken down simultaneously by the snipers, so it is an even game, you know, perfectly balanced, as Thanos would say, as we might have the soldiers getting a little bit aggressive over in Toxic. Neither are going to fall, but I mean, with both demos going down in the exact same manner, you're not going to see much happen off of that.
Actually, though, the soldiers of both teams go down, I believe. Now it's just a 4-on-4, or a 3-on-4 now, and I think Fjord is just going to have to back up. They are still being kind of aggressive here, but I think because of the down players, they don't think that GCX really wants to do anything, so they're still willing to be aggressive, try to spam, keep at least a little bit of pressure up, make sure the gun at least like can't get to level 3, or, you know, just they can't get some crazy aggressive traps, but Tiny is able to set up her aggressive traps in those sneaky little spots, and that's going to be potential picks waiting to happen.
Yep, Minaj still trying to spy check, should now realize that there is no off class here from Fjord Gaming. Yoshi's back up on scout, so maybe they might try and go for something a little bit riskier, send a few more players in to try and get the force or get the drop onto Dinko, as Yoshi and Alexandros immediately go in. They get nullified almost immediately, as they do find one. Jarrett finds a kill onto Robotnik, but 3 for 1, you're going to be happy with that if you're GCX, and you can see them get a little bit explorative as they make their way into lobby.
Yeah, it looks like Sin's gonna open this shutter for Minaj to try to take a shot, and they actually drop Bear! Oh no, Bear just not playing the right spot, and he gets body shot charged. Moose is actually out here on Edgy, which is a little bit interesting, but I think he's just gonna run back to spawn, but that's a big Uber ad for GCX, and as soon as Moose switches off, they're gonna be pushing. Alexandros is hidden under the pipe. We'll see if that goes into play. And actually, Grape Juice is on spy in the ramp room. And Alexandros, I think, he is going to get spotted out, and that's going to be a little bit of distraction maybe for GCX. But I don't think Grape Juice has enough time. Yosh does get a kill onto Sin. And oh my goodness, with the delay, there's just a spy versus scout fight on last. And Fjord comes back in on second and stops it. And wow. they were actually able to hold that for a bit, and they're delaying even more time off the clock. They didn't even let Fjord, excuse me, Fjord didn't even let GlobalClan Xiao get second. And even though GlobalClan Xiao has an Uber at, I think they actually are just saying, you know what, it's 35 seconds, we're going to be willing to just reset to mid.
Yeah, it's 35 seconds, and there's also so much time on that last cap that it would be even quicker for someone who hypothetically did back cap to be able to get that point. And so it's definitely the smart play from GCX just to hold on and try and go to a round reset, as here comes Fjord Gaming in with their Uber. They're trying to look to take this Uber exchange. They take down the Sentry Gun. They haven't found anyone yet. They have a lot of cap time onto the point, and that is going to get the Uber out from GCX. They have found a nice kill onto Jarrett. You have some players that just trying to jump and go onto the point, just get that last bit of cap down, and but Tiny and Robotnik just hitting so many players, and that should be the last held from GCX, and they are not going to be able to get onto second in time. Not enough time on that last point. So we're going to head to a round reset, and it is getting very, very close, M1.
Oh yeah, only 7 minutes left in this game, and it is 2-2. It is still anybody's game. Mids are 3-2 in favor of Fjord, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this mid goes the way of GCX and we keep the mids even. Gotta be careful there when you're attacking last, because you want to make sure you don't wipe, because then the other team could potentially get a bunch of free points on, or like a bunch of free captures. But we're already into this mid. Robotnik went very aggressive trying to kill Jarrett, and Sin is trying to follow up the kill. Sin and Minaj get 2 kills, very aggressive from the side of GlobalClan Xiao, and Sin actually got the kill onto Kranji to Magoo. And that means the Fjord medic is down, and here comes the crazy aggression from the side of Fjord. They're looking for some kills. They do manage to kill Dinko, and Grinchers with a very nice shot onto Minaj. And I think that's going to mean that both teams want to back up, but with Moose full health on the side of GCX, this should be a mid-win for GCX.
Yep, it should be. It's really only Jarrett here, and he's kind of getting rushed down a little bit by Moose. And the respawn is just a little bit quicker for GCX. Robotnik once again going in super deep to try and catch out Jarrett. Not going to be able to get the kill, but Fjord, they have a few players here. They're maybe trying to see if they could potentially get in onto middle, but they didn't have the players, and G6 did, so they're just going to back up onto second. It was a good kind of salvage from everyone on Fjord Gaming to get that late kill onto Dinko. It is going to give them a little bit of advantage, so if they do want to be aggressive, they still can. They have around about 30%. Kind of difficult to play with, especially with Manaj so far back in his valley with that sniper peek, but it is doable.
Sin is on the rafters. Here comes that aggressive Uber from Jarrett in main, trying to catch something, but no kills are going to be out. Although, as I say that, Robotnik does get killed, and Sin might die in lower. She is going to be able to escape underpass, but Minaj on Sniper gets caught. That's 2 picks for the side of Fjord, and they're going to cap mid, deny those players from getting forward spawn, and they're probably going to pressure, even though they are down on Uber ad. But actually, as I say that, it looks like they decided that they don't want to do anything. Yep, they're just going to set up for a stronghold, already start building their Uber. Minaj has a very long, spawn timer, so while G6 is already working their way through, this gives a lot of time for Fjord to build their Uber.
Yep, it does give a bit of time for Fjord to not only build their Uber, but get their defenses locked and loaded, and the more time that they can delay, the more opportunity they have to either stall out this mid, get Uber in the fight, or be able to have Uber for an immediate refight, as GCX are slowly but surely making their way in, just trying to clear all these angles. They don't want to have to use Uber to get this mid if they don't need to. Tiny taking a lot of damage, is going to have to back out, and now Fjord Gaming, they want to stay in. The Uber is going to come out aggressively from Fjord Gaming. The counter pop from GCX, Robotnik being chased all the way into the backline, so maybe a little bit more space for GCX to play with as everyone goes back to chasing. You can see the collapse from Minaj and Moose, but Scouts wreaking havoc, cleaning up on their soldiers' damage, and that should be enough for them to get this mid-win. Excellent stuff from Botnik, going in, dragging so many players behind, and then everyone else on GCX taking advantage of it.
Well, I was going to say, it looked like GCX were actually going to lose that because Fjord had that early kill, but then Exile and Yost just got caught. They just stayed in too late with the Uber, and then they just got caught in that top left doorway at Soldiers. They had nowhere to go. They got juggled in and killed. And now there's a 40% Uber ad on the side of GCX. They already are taking second. Yost is taking some shots on Sniper, at least one, and he's just going to back up. There is a sentry in the fun spot all the way back by spawn, but we'll see if that's able to get anything done. These traps are on the right side this time for Jarrett, trying to just predict anything. And Yosh is still on Sniper, but the aggressive Uber will be coming in shortly. It looks like through the right side, actually.
Yep, through the right side. They should be able to immediately take down the sentry gun, and they do. Already getting a lot of cap time onto the point. Fjord Gaming not close enough, and with Bear going down almost immediately, that is going to be the third round in the favor of GCX. 3-2 is the scoreline. Only 3 minutes left on the server timer before we head into continuous overtime, and unless we have an immediate mid to last from GCX like we did, I think the second round that they won, we're probably looking at a 4-something game. Question is it going to be Fjord Gaming coming back? They still have a lot of opportunities to do so, but it's getting very, very close.
Grapejuice incredibly aggressive, nice speed shot, gets the kill onto Tiny. Exile gets the kill onto Robotnik, doing the same. Moose does kill Grapejuice, but Yosh is going to get the kill onto Minaj, and they are already chasing. GCX is on the retreat with Moose and Dinko, and Sin already has the run away with her escape plan back to spawn, but Dinko is going to safely retreat, so it's going to be them back on last, as Fjord is already taking control second. Very aggressive mid there, and very nice speed shot from Grapejuice. And that's going to allow them to already be pressuring. They do have a couple of minutes if they maybe want to even the score up already before it gets to that continuous overtime, but it's not like there's a huge pressure to do so because they still have to get to 4 rounds anyways, so I think they'll be okay with taking their time. Minaj on Sniper, and we have Moose back on NG, and that seems pretty standard, but no off-classes from the side of Fjord just yet. Maybe we'll see a Yosh sacking to get onto Sniper again. It looks like they're talking about it again. Although, no, as I said, that Grapejuice is actually on Mantra.
Minaj angled up to try and take out one of his soldiers that bomb in, but instead it's going to be Tiny and Robotnik dying to the soldier bombs. Sentry gun not really being able to protect them, and there was no one else to defend the projectiles. But Minaj, nice headshot onto Jarrett, and that's going to stuff all the momentum from Fjord Gaming. Actually, immediately going back to just spy check and see if there's any more off classes headed their way. But once again, that was looking a little bit dicey from GCX there. But, you know, that one quick headshot onto Jarrett kind of held them in the game a little bit longer.
Yeah, Grapejuice just went in and killed both the demo and the soldier. Actually, Minaj is out on spy. He is out on spy in alley. I don't think they're going to realize he's already disguised. He is just waiting. Exile is maybe peeking. Do they know? Okay, they somehow know. They
That's crazy.
Cloaking. That is some
That's
insane
wild
detection. Oh my goodness. And they're already pushing their way back in second with one fewer player to deal with. No player on Sniper. That means they're going to be able to try to pressure already. There's nobody on this right side for the side of GCX, and Alexander's is looking to get through. Does bait the traps out. Robotnik does rotate over, and then Grapejuice gets absolutely stuffed by the rockets. And Minaj gets a headshot onto Yosh, and that's going to mean Fjord has to back up.
And they are going to have to back up down 2. So maybe an opportunity for GCX to try and peek, but with only 10 seconds left on the round timer before a round reset, they're probably not going to do that. They're probably just going to say, all right, guys, let's just go back to mid as a... oh, sorry, I got confused. That's the map timer. There's 2 minutes left on the round timer. So a little bit more time for GCX to try and hold out here and for Fjord Gaming to try and pressure in. But with it ticking over, it is going to be a 4-something game. Question is it GCX getting that last round, or are Fjord going to be able to take 2 back-to-back?
We'll see, as Jared is already trying to get a lot of pressure in here. Grapejuice takes like 180 damage trying to get through the door, and Dinko is safely in the dispenser. Alexandros does get the kill onto Moose, but Minaj just gets the snipe onto Alexandros. And Dinko very healthy, using that dispenser armor, and that's going to allow GCX to already be peeking a bit aggressively. Tiny opening the door for her sniper there. Minaj trying to get some sort of angle. Yosh is a little aggressive here in the lobby, kind of by himself. Maybe just trying to do some cheeky hiding plays, or maybe just thinking, oh, GCX is going to push this, I should be okay. And it looks like they're not, as Minaj has already gone back to spawn to spy check. And we have Grapejuice back on spy, and he's already out. He might have gotten spotted there? I think he ran out of cloak, but it looks like he was not spotted, and they might not realize. And here comes the decloak, but he is spotted by Tiny. He does sack the gun, and here comes the bomb in, and Alexandros does get the force with the assistance of the 2 players sacking, because Jarrett also dies. I don't know if that was a sack, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it was a sack necessarily either, but they already knew because Minaj spy checked and saw Grapejuice on spy, but it doesn't really do anything because the pyro You're kind of looking to try and protect your medic. You don't necessarily think that they're going to try and go for the sentry gun sap, and they did that, able to get a soldier in and get some great rockets onto Dinko. So now they've got 15 seconds for real on the round timer before a round reset, but they do have a big Uber advantage. They're going to be coming in onto last, bombing in their demo. They want to try and take down the sentry gun. It's in that sneaky position under the point. They do manage to do so. Get a little bit of cap time, but nice hit from Tiny. He's going to find one of his scouts. Excellent taking down, but the soldiers collapsing in. So much damage. They might be able to do it, but it's just going to be Moose once again with Dinko, and they're able to defend their last point, and that was looking so close. And I think this time they're going to be able to get onto the second and delay a round reset.
I'm gonna be honest, I think that was actually just the casual teleporter on point. Like, I don't know, I think Jarrett just like instinctually just shot at stuff and like used 2 stickies on the teleporter, which is normally something you don't really care about. And those stickies could have potentially been the difference between getting those early kills or just like the early sentry kill. So that might have been the entire, you know, determination of who won that last. But GCX is already pushing in with their 50% Uber ad. Grape Juice doing a fade bomb in, trying to distract, and here comes the aggressive Uber in from GCX. They're not going to get any other kills, but Grape Juice is going to get caught. Actually, Alexandros might get caught. He's trying to jump his way out. Sin is very aggressively chasing, but she is going to get low, so she's going to have to back up. Moose and Tiny are very aggressively pushing this alley. Jared is trying to hold off the house. Double soldier bomb in on Jared, and Jared is going to get caught too. And Yosh is actually out here on the second as well, but he's going to back up to the support of his teammates, I think. Moose gets a lot of damage on him, but Exile walks back in, and Bear drops. No, I think they were trying to Uber exchange or just use aggressively, and then Bear drops. No.
Yeah, Robotnik with a very heads-up play goes in through map room and just kind of waddles out through shutter and sees the back of Bear and is like, all right, free med pick, I'll take that every day of the week, and is going to be able to set his team up beautifully to try and close out this game. GCX at round about 60% Uber advantage. Sure, they're on mid, but if they're able to get in on the second for free, they should be able to steamroll this on to last, or if they have to use on second and get a few picks. But it's not all over for Fjord Gaming. They might be able to try and do something here, maybe get a return drop onto Dinko as Alexandros gonna go for the fade bomb. GCX know about it. They're playing super far back, some ball action kind of making Moose bleed out, but the soldiers gonna be jumping in, try to create a little bit of free space for the team to take advantage of, but the bomb from Grape Juice is gonna be able to get the force out from Dinko. Alexandros finding a kill onto Sin, is gonna die a little bit late, but managing to get that trade out. The soldiers from Fjord Gaming. Oh, Jarrett!
Jarrett just has traps, and they just killed Dinko and Robotnik. Oh my goodness. And that's gonna allow Fjord to just walk right back out, trying to set their own traps, but just has to sticky jump out, and that's going to allow Fjord to take second. They have a nice big move route, which they are going to use to walk right into mid shortly. They do have to maybe wait well on spawners because, GCX got their own spawners, and they are Alexandros here now. But, you know, they're going to be pushing it with that big Uber ad. Tiny does have some traps set up, but Fjord is a lot more aware of those traps, and is going to be slowly working their way in through the CR area.
Yeah, they are going to be working their way as Robotnik actually going to be trying to go for a shove in the backlines. Minaj getting another nice kill as well, and that's going to send everyone on Fjord Gaming back. They haven't used their Uber, but they've lost so many players, and they're back on second, kind of scrambling. Bear kind of caught out a little bit as luckily for them, G6 didn't try and push the advantage. They might have been able to get a very easy force. Instead, they're going to stay and round up, get their players all healthy. Robotnik, aka Aimer, still in the backlines, and they just have so much space to walk in onto second essentially for free, and Fjord Gamer are just gonna have to give this up.
Yeah, Jarrett was still respawning, so they just had to leave. Moose is already going aggressive at shutter, trying to look for something. Jarrett is going to back up. Does have some traps on the left door, but does not dead him in time to get Sin. Sin is in on to Bear and gets that force. A lot of cap time too from Moose. They're actually just doing a 4-man sack in, and they're going to get the force and get a ton of cap time. And Minaj and Dinko are very safely out to the midpoint. Alexandros may be looking. The rest of Fjord is looking. Going to retake second, but they're not really going to see anything, which means that GCX is just going to be able to retake second with that Uber ad, and then it's all dependent on potentially if Fjord can get Uber in time to hold their own last.
Yep, they are going to be trying to furiously build to make sure that does happen. Luckily, they were able to send Moose to the back spawns, so he's not going to be as close. So it takes a little bit of time for him to walk up, but he is already here. They do have 75% on Fjord Gaming, so as long as they don't lose anyone too crucial, they should be in an okay position, but instead it's going to be Grape Juice and Yosh trying to push this flank over into house. They managed to get in, but they don't find anyone, so everyone on G6 knows about their presence. Yosh actually gets one onto Sin. They're going to be coming in. They want to try and fight this. Exile is going to take the Uber, gets the counterforce out from GCX, and once again Fjord Gaming trying to push the flank over and lower. This time it's going to be Grape Juice going down. Not going to be able to get a trade, but I think Fjord Gaming have been able to defend their second as everyone on GCX have to back up, and now they're going to be coming back in through alley.
Yeah, it looked like they were ready for it, but then I think there was just some miscommunication between Dinko and Sin thought she was getting an arrow, or maybe Dinko missed the arrow or something, and then she just got caught out. And then that looked like it was potentially going to be bad for GCX, but Minaj with a nice kill and live on low HP allowed his team to keep that even player advantage and allowed his team to even it up. And Minaj is on Sniper, this time aggressively, not into last. And we will see if he's able to get anything. But neither team is Uber yet, so we'll probably take a few seconds before any team really wants to do anything. Although, as I said, Minaj is already taking this peek and is going to get aggressive, is spotted by Alexandros, does get body shot, but Alexandros will get that crucial information. And that's going to lead to, GCX going to continue to peek and Fjord being ready for the sniper.
Yep. It's going to be all eyes on Minaj at the moment. That first shot not connecting. Actually playing very dangerously, but it's going to be Jarrett with some stickies onto Moose to be able to get his team a player advantage. And now with that sniper, there's no scouts for GCX. So if a soldier does get a clean bomb in, there's not that many people able to deny them from getting some damage onto the medic, but no one's really in position on Fjord Gaming. So instead, they're just going to take their time, happy to drain out the round timer. 2 minutes left for GCX to try and break in on the second.
Yeah, and they do still want to be working with their sniper, I'm assuming. Minaj is still taking his time. When you have a sniper, honestly, you have all day. He's taking into this underpass, trying to get any sort of pick, but, you know, when you have that sniper, it's okay to just give your sniper time, let him take as many shots as he can. You know, eventually he's going to hit something, you would assume, but Moose is trying to get a little bit more proactive here, trying to get something going to try to speed that up, maybe create a little bit more chaos for Minaj to work with. Minaj does get a headshot kill onto Yosh there. Grape Juice very low, he's going to go down. Jarrett did get a kill onto Sin, but Minaj up on Sniper still means that this is going to be a 5v4 in favor of GCX, and they're already pressuring back in with Minaj in through alley, taking an aggressive shot. He isn't going to get anything there, but Robotnik is now in through the lower area, and he's going to get the force onto Crunch to Magoo as Exile went for an aggressive use, and GCX did use later, but down a player, they have to actually just give this up because they have a sniper as well.
Yep, they are going to have to give up control of alley, but they should be able to at least fight for middle as Fjord Gaming, they kind of get into alley a little bit, but trying to dry push into a sniper, especially with that super long sightline, is so daunting. So instead, they go back onto second, 30 seconds left before another round reset, as they're going to be trying to hold on here. GCX still with that sniper, and the thing is, like you said, if you give him enough time, he is going to hit a shot. He already hit one onto Yosh, but it can be a little bit of a detriment as he tries to go for the hero peek. Not going to find it, but Sin bombing in. Nice dodge from Bear to be able to stay alive there, and Sin is going to be a late death, but I don't know if it's going to be a matter too much. No one on Fjord Gaming looks like they're in position to go to mid. That is going to be another round reset.
Yes, it is, and I'm taking a peek at this. Yeah, so just so we know, by the way, the mids are 4-3 in favor of Fjord. Both meds have dropped 3 times, and Minaj has dealt 239 damage per minute and taken 109. I guess that's going to come from a lot of sniper playing, but still, that's a little absurd as we're going into this 8th mid fight here. Jarrett already looking for some damage on those soldiers aggressively. Sin takes a lot of space early on the right side, and that's what GCX is going to follow up on. And Minaj is already getting some point time, getting some presence there. Fjord's pretty passive here on this mid, although here comes Grape Juice trying to go aggressive with the bomb. Here comes the counter bombs from the soldiers of GCX. Grape Juice is in behind, but the soldiers on the side of, GCX go down, but Exile does get the soldiers on the side of, Fjord go down. excuse me, and both the meds just going to go down, and it's just going to be a huge chaotic fight, but this is definitely favoring the side of GCX, who are going to win the mid.
Yeah, they are going to win the mid. The combined powers of Moose and Tiny there, and a demo v scout, or a demo and scout 2v2. Both teams having a demo and a scout on the field. And it's going to be GCX winning that one. So they're going to be able to take control of the middle. Both medics did go down for either team, so it is going to be roundabout even, with neither of them having just quite yet. But once again, we've got a very cheeky, sneaky off-class out on the field from Fjord Gaming, and this time Minaj isn't near a spawn to try and spy check it, so in practice, they don't know about Grape Juice on Spy, slowly making his way in through lower, and he's got to be very, very careful here, because even though they haven't spy checked him, he could easily bump into a player.
Yeah, I think he's just giving out information for now. He's not really going for anything too crazy. They don't see Minaj on Sniper. They do see Minaj on Scout, so they know the bombs are going to be coming in shortly. Here comes an attempted sack from the side of Sin, but no damage dealt onto Bear. Crunchington Magoo very healthy. Both soldiers on the side of GCX are down, and Grape Juice is still alive. And I think, yeah, Fjord is going to try to get aggressive off the fact that they have Grape Juice on Spy. I think he's low on cloak, so he's still working his way in slowly but surely. He's maybe trying to get this pick onto Moose. No, he's just taking his time working his way in, trying to use the distraction from his team to try to get some sort of backstab eventually, but I think he's a little bit low on cloak, and so he's still just chilling, and he's actually going to back up. He is going to go in, but he is just going to get spotted and quickly killed by Minaj and Moose.
Yeah, that's a bit unfortunate. I mean, there was maybe an opportunity when everyone on GCX was kind of backing up that he could have potentially got the drop onto Dinka, but the thing is, you would expect GCX to maybe be counting the players and be like, all right, we see one soldier, where's that other soldier? And Grape Juice not going to manage to find anything, but Robotnik finding a lot of things, going to be able to flank around with Minaj, and that's going to be 2 down on Fjord Gaming, and they're collapsing once again, and going to be able to get the force out and take down Jared. So now they want to try and get onto Dinko. They are going to be able to get the force, but there's only 2 people alive on Fjord Gaming. This could be it. This could be the game. GCX with the last remnants of Uber immediately steamrolling in onto last. They have so much kept them on the point, and they are going to get it. 4-2 is the score in the favor of Fjord Gaming. Sorry, in the favor of GCX. Fjord Gaming not winning. They are our losers for tonight. GCX being able to walk away the winners of Metalworks, and that was a very close, very back and forth game. But GCX going to be able to come out on top.
Yeah, that was a really well-coordinated play from Robotnik and Minaj there to push into second. Minaj just went into the ramp room at like a few seconds later of timing than Robotnik did, and they were able to crunch on Yosh and cause so much distraction and chaos that Fjord was just not able to handle it. Really close game. Good to see it there. Taking a peek at these stats, I am curious. Besides the 3 drops on both meds that I mentioned, and besides that, Minaj stat line, which is a little bit insane, but I guess he was playing Sniper for 11 minutes, but still, just not very much damage taken, which is often really good for your flank scout because it means you don't need too many heals.
Yep, being able to stay out of harm's way. And yeah, I do agree, there was a fair bit of Sniper played out there from Minaj, but he was able to make it worth 9-2 over on Sniper specifically. So having a pretty good game. Otherwise, kind of low scoring because when it wasn't it was just a lot of stalemates back and forth. So it not too surprising to see that. But yeah, I would agree. Kind of the big stat line being the medics dropping a fair few times, and Crongington almost dying twice as much as Dinko did, 12-7. So it's pretty hard to win when your medic is dying almost twice as much as the enemy teams. But you know, across the board, I'd have to say the soldiers playing very, very well across the board. Aimer, Sin, Grape Juice, and Alexandros all had really, really great plays, kind of being able to get in, make space for their team, and get the drop on to the medic or the force more often than not.
Yeah, it's often really important for your soldiers to still be able to create so much space for your scouts and your demo because, you know, otherwise you can have a tough time walking into, you know, demo just doing an insane amount of damage with those stickies and pipes. And, you know, it's really important to have your soldiers get aggressive to cause any sort of chaos. And GCX, I think we're just a little bit better at doing that, honestly. But both teams were not bad at it. I mean, Fjord was definitely getting some stuff done, and they were not this was not like an unwinnable game for Fjord in any way, shape, or form. This was definitely potentially winnable, and that doesn't mean, I believe they're going to have a second match, these two teams, later in the season, so that definitely is an opportunity for Fjord to get their revenge potentially.
Yeah, no, it is a good opportunity for Fjord to get their revenge. But for GCX, they are now 2-2 in the invite standings, at least in this point, and I would say they're looking really good actually at making playoffs. I mean, sure, they've lost to Freytech and Money Balls, but you could say that those are comfortably the two best teams. And then they've beaten the two teams that you would, I guess, at a glance, expect to also be in playoffs. They've beaten Anglerfish, and they've also beaten Fjord Gaming. Of course, they're going to have to try and repeat that later in the season, but now with this win against Fjord Gaming, I think it's they're now not the team, they're the team to beat. If you're Fjord Gaming or if you're Anglerfish and you want to solidify your playoff chances, they've got to win their next matchup against GlobalClan Xiao. So GlobalClan Xiao putting themselves in a great position to make playoffs, and for some of those players who it is their first season in Invite, like Minaj, Moose, and Tiny, be a very good achievement to be able to get into playoffs first try. But of course, we're going to be continuing to cover all the rest of these invite games and see how it all shakes out as we begin to wind down here. M1, any shout outs or final thoughts from you?
Shouts to all the viewers, and besides that, and Dolphin on production, I normally don't have too many shoutouts, so yeah, nothing else from me.
Yeah, shout outs to all the viewers, shout outs to Dolphin on production, shout outs to you, M1, for casting it here tonight. Shout outs to the teams for playing, Fjord Gaming and GlobalClan Xiao. I know a lot of people on the Xiao squad, Moose, Tiny, Minaj, Robotnik, Sin, so really great to see them all play and get the dubski, but exciting to see how it's all going to shake out. So stay tuned. Should be live tomorrow night with hopefully some more amazing TF2 invite action, and if not, we'll see you next week. So until then, have a great night. Take care.